The movie begins with a woman punching a diver at a little girl, and she says be quiet and cooperate with customers. And the camera covers the red light area one by one. The girl bit the customer and ran away. After hearing this complaint, the owner beat and chained her and shifted her to a separate room, and she sends a message to Gangubai about the situation. The black Bentley arrived on the street, a women get down, and everyone started to greet her respectfully. She visits the owner. The owner tells about the situation and things that she did to the customer yesterday night, and requesting her to brainwash the girl to the job. She went to the room and she tried to have a conversation with her. Also she started to narrate her own story and the flashback begins. Born into an affluent family in Kathiawadi, inspired to become a Bollywood actress at the age of 16, she shifted with her boyfriend Lal to Mumbai. He promised Ganga to give a opportunity to act in a film, but he sold her for 1,000 rupees to his aunt Sheila, who running a brothel in red light area. Her whole life turns upside down, where she forcefully had to start prostitution in Kamathapura. Next day, a co-worker told her how to start the day. She pulls up her skirt, stretching out her hand straight to the road to attract customer. An aged man stops in the way and he became her first customer, and the day passes. Sheila took a tip from him, happy to reward the girl, but the Gangu eyes were full of tears. She set the bill on fire directly. Sheila get confused, ask her why. She says I'm burning my former self. That one simple girl by heart has now been burned by fire. She later changes her name to Gangubai to Gangu. She numbly put powder on her face. Every day she dressed in different ways, attracted countless men. In just 1 year's time, Gangu has become the top name in Kamathapura. She received countless rewards and generously gave it to her sisters because she knows money is not important, prestige is the most important. She says in 5 years I'll buy this place. And Sheila is the pimp. She walks in the door. She urges the girls to take their clients. Gangu arrogantly stood up asking for a day off. If they are to make money, then they must have time off. Gangu forcibly take everyone out. Some of the girls were afraid to go, but Gangu doesn't give up. Take everyone out of the brothel. She gives the servant freedom for everyone. Sheila gave her an indignant look, but she didn't dare to speak out against it because she knew very well Gangu was a moneymaker. She couldn't afford to offend him. She could only keep it in her mind. In the theater, one man stops her and forcefully asking her service. Gangu angrily slaps the man and says this is her day off. The crowd started to looking weirdly about this situation. Later at night, the arrival of a strange guest. Sheila had a chance for revenge. She let him in. Sheila woke up Gangu and told her to serve the guest. Gangu, who didn't know what to do, followed the man to the room. The man plucked out money and a gun. It turns out that the man has a special hobby, that is to beat young girls to vent their anger. The screams were heard all over the compound. Everyone came out to see what was going on. Sheila was beating on the door and pretending while ordering everyone to leave. No one was allowed to help. Gangu went into a frenzy until Gangu passed out. Only then was she taken to the hospital. Her left eye was streaming with blood and tears. Her face was covered with bruises. There were also multiple fractures on her body. In total, she had more than 40 stitches. Sheila slowly took off her sunglasses. She said, pretending to be sad and comforting in the service business, there must be danger. Gangu noted nervously. She seems to have learned a lesson. One of her co-workers says the man who come yesterday was the boss Kareem Lal's henchman. The boss is good man not like him, so Gangu went to his area and report him about yesterday's incident. He didn't pay much heed to that appeal. Then Gangu take a uncomfortable termination. She rips open her shawl and revealed a scar that ran the length of her body. Kareem Bai instantly changed his face because it was his men who did it. He offered to compensate the girl, but the girl politely refused, just left a protective knot and then silently left. The boss understood, seeing the girl's plea for help, so he sent his men to protect the girl in the dark, although with the shelter of the boss. But the girl did not publicize because she was waiting for a chance to make a statement. Gangu showed her hypocritical face, clearly not in good faith. Next day again the man shows up. Sheila again comes up with offer. The sisters argued with her trying to protect Gangu, but Gangu spoke indifferently. This time she offered 4x price. He accepted. She told her sisters contact the boss immediately, and then she went into the room. She closed the door calmly. The screams came out again. Sheila sat down, turning up the volume of the radio on purpose. But just then, outside came the roar of a motorcycle. The boss has arrived. His men immediately rushed into the room, took the man out. The man was already beaten to the point of being unable to stand up. With a look from the boss, he handed him over to Gangu and then he left in front of everyone. Gangu stepped on him with one foot and then crouched down, and says, give me my money, and if you dare to hit a woman again, I will kill you. Gangu succeeded in establishing his authority, and completely frightened the Sheila. She was afraid of the same revenge, frightened all night. The result was scared to death, and before she died she still had the money in her hand. Gangu rightfully took over. She became the rightful leader. They handed over the snow-white sari. From then on, at the age of 27, Gangu became a prominent lady, Gangubai. She was covered in gold, travels in a Bentley every day, with a black umbrella and sunglasses through the streets of the red light district. She went to every brothel to visit the girls who were sold, and the flashback ends. Now she seriously gives two choices. One, take the foreign toffee and stay here and earn money. Other, kill yourself with poison toffee. And as we all know, once a girl is sold to the red light district, they have ruined their reputation. Even if she returns home again, she will be abandoned by her family until they are sold again. But the girl who was still young, she chose the second one. Gangubai was silent, just paid the slave fee and sent the girl home safely. The owner did not understand, however, only Gangubai herself knew. She had bigger ambitions in her mind. To do that, she had to find people. Gangubai is ready to take a part of district governor election, but she is facing a powerful opponent, Razia. She calls herself the messenger of God. Highly respected by the people, she has been re-elected for 2 years. But with the opponent of Gangubai, the news about her rescue of the lost girls is also increasing. Razia could not help but feel the crisis. She sent her men to force Gangubai to come and see her. But Gangubai was not to be afraid with. He kicked them out. Next day police arrived to the brothel because Razia was arranged this setup. The police force started to raid and destroys the place and also beat and arrest the women's. Gangubai did not back down either. She paid double to them. After learning that she was going to give a public meeting, she invited everyone to a movie at his own expense. Eventually everyone went to the movie, no one come to the meeting. Venue was left empty. But one person was come to the meeting to defeat her. That's Gangubai. Razia gets disappointed about this situation. In the next scene, there was a girl in a cage. She had just turned 15 years old. She was one of the prostitute's daughter. She had locked her up in the cage. Her mother was afraid that her customer would bully her. She worrying her didn't want to come this job. Marrying her is the suitable way to rescue her. Gangubai was listening this conversation. This is the red light district of India. All the girls are forced to become prostitutes and their only way out is to get married. But what man would want to be with a girl from the red light district? But there is a man Afshan, he's a little tailor from a poor family, also he was her lover, although he was born in the red light district. But he was not polluted by the environment. He was a simple man. Just to take a measurement, he would be so nervous that he would blush. And that's how he fell in love with the mature and sensual Gangubai. But Gangubai knew very well, because of the difference in status, they cannot be together. And she knew the boy was the only one she could trust, so she brought the bride price for the girl to propose marriage. Looking at the precious gold on the table, the boy's parents were very hesitant. How can we marry a woman who has sold her body, married to the family as a daughter-in-law? That's what I'm saying. You can't marry a woman who sells her body. Her mother is, but not her daughter. She picked up the bride price and left. The boy's family rushed to stop her. They finally agreed. The first girl in the red light district is married. Gangubai leaves from there. But the boy caught up with her. He questioned her. Why did you do this? He begged her to marry him. The two of them were so in love. But she says, for the sake of the women in the red light district, I'm willing to sacrifice 100 peoples like you. And she left. Soon after, the grand wedding came as expected. It was also the first wedding in the red light district. The streets were crowded with people watching. Gangubai stood on a balcony and buried the love in her heart. Gangubai fought the first battle for women's rights. She was also elected district mayor, but the hard part was yet to come. The consensus was that the women of the red light district represented shame, so they were all going to be thrown out. But Gangubai didn't panic at all. She took the children straight to the school for the principal's office. She took out the school fees and threw it in front of the principal, and asked him for school admission. At the same time, the news reporter Hamid Fazi also in the room. He introduces himself. Same time, principal doesn't accept Gangu's request, but Gangu doesn't give up. She asks about her rights in education. The principal actually understood that the girls are innocent only when they are given the opportunity to get an education. There is a way out of life. At the insistence of Gangubai, finally, the school accepts her request. Also, Gangu invite Hamid to her place. Hamid was impressed a lot, so the next day he visited her brothel. He requested her to get a still for his article cover, but she refused him. Later the day, the girls were thrown back to brothel because the teacher beat up them and threw they out. After hearing this, Gangubai told the girls to sit down and says to Hamid to take a picture now. Picture was then taken, and also also published it on the cover of a magazine. She wanted the world to know about the red light district. In the cities this topic went viral. Now everywhere from India people talking about Kamathapura incident. In a short period Gangubai became very famous all over India. Also, she was invited to the city's women conference. Hamid prepared a speech script for the conference, but at the stage, she suddenly stopped reading it and she tore it in half, because she didn't want to say all those grand words. She just wanted to say what she really wanted to say. She was furious. She started to justify her side. The speech get hot. Also she complained about the injustice of fate. She is determined to fight for all women in the red light district. Also she fight for the most basic respect for all women in the red light district. Peoples were started to like her. Everyone started to cheer her. The day passes, a politician came to visit her. He asked for the help of election day to get the popular vote for himself, and in return, she asked him legalization of red light districts. But he says he don't have the rights to do that. But the court or the prime minister have the power to change the system. He can arrange the appointment for meeting prime minister. She smiled at him. She knows she can change something in the system little, because that's what she wanted. Coming out of the red light district to meet India's top prime minister. Guys, this is big thing. While later she get the appointment to meet Prime Minister Nehru Gandhi. She met the prime minister without a hitch. Without any conclusion she directly comes to the point. She asked for the legalization of red light districts. And also ask her women rights, education, dignity. After hearing this hot speech from a single woman comes from without any background power. The prime minister was deeply touched, also impressed. He says he will talk about this request in the next meeting. A few days later, her co-worker died from pregnancy, and also her request was accepted from the government, and when she returned to the red light district, the snowy white sky was a symbol of the purest victory. Gangubai Kathiawadi, truly powerful queen, changed the fate of more than 4,000 red light district prostitutes in the history of India, leaving a legacy.